Hey guys and homebrew enthusiasts, this is a quick video update on my Keezer build. This is a Kelvinator 22 cubic foot commercial size chest freezer. It's about a year old. Check the serial number to confirm that. Picked it up a little bit north of me, and for less than $200 I got this pretty much back to my house. And it's in really good shape, has a couple cosmetic scratches. Wanted to go over some of the special mods that I feel that is kind of unique to a Keezer that I haven't seen a lot of guys do yet. And that's, I do have a fan inside. It does come with the stock light, but the problem with the stock light is that when you're running with the temperature controller here in the back, this is where kind of some of the magic is going on here. That controller, which is an A421, I know a lot of guys will use the A419, but this one works just fine. It only turns on the power to the chest freezer when it calls for it to cool down. That also turns the light that's built into the lid. It's stock light on and off with the controller, so you may not necessarily... I like having a little light in there, especially if we have the lights on down here. There's not really the best lighting. I want to be able to look inside and see what I'm doing. So what I've done is with the fan, it's one of those 3-inch bilge fans, and it's got some PVC hardware, which I'll show you in a minute. But this is kind of how I set it up for the controlling of it. I have a $12 pulse width modulation speed controller for DC motors. It's got the potentiometer to adjust the speed, and then I have a single pole double throw relay that kind of does all the switching. Inside the lid here, there's a magnetic switch, so it's got a common, normally open, normally closed, and as the magnet goes, as it touches the magnet on the lid, the switch is right behind here, and this will tell this relay to switch back and forth between the fan and also the lights that I've added on, which is powered by this 360 watt 12 volt power supply. It was about $20 on Amazon, and I'm nowhere near loading this up near its capacity. My bench tests show that I can definitely pull 30 amps, but I can't pull 30 amps for very long. This thing gets pretty hot. So I definitely got at least that, about half of that without it breaking a sweat. So let me show you the inside of what it looks like. So here I'm just going to turn the fan on. That's full power. It's obviously a little loud, but we don't want it to run that high. So I'll just turn it up a little bit just to kind of give you guys an idea of what it does. So you hear the fan running. Now if I'm going to go and open up this lid, right now the fan is blowing, taking the cold air from the bottom and pulling it up and recirculating it that way. And what happens is I don't want all that cold air when I open up this lid to be evacuated out by the fan. So the magnetic switch, it shuts off the fan, and the relay tells it to do this white light, this LED strip of lights that I just kind of threw together. I know it looks a little hodgepodge, but the effect is what I need, because this light will only turn on when the chest freezer is calling for cooling. I've kind of kept things nice and clean here. This is the fan setup. It's the bilge fan, as I talked about. I got a 3-inch going to a 2-inch reducer. This is not my original idea. This has been done by others, and kudos to the originators of that. I've kind of only done, and if I can focus in a little bit, it's probably because of the LEDs are causing my camera to be messed up here. But basically, it's got the, I've drilled some 5/16 holes, and I forget how many I have here, but I have the ends open. Originally, those ends had, I had the rubber plugs, but as this fan was running, it's kind of, think of it as a flute. You start hearing that whistling sound because of the air rushing through, and it really wasn't pulling enough air up into the chamber to recirculate. So I left the ends open, and I think this should be more than enough. I may eventually get a T and bring it down this way, but I'll just have to see how well it works right now. I got my temperature probe, which I'll be putting in water or putting on the side of the keg there. So I just want to measure the liquid temperature. That's what's most important. Just a quick look at the wiring. It's nothing really too special. I got the magnetic switch there, and then I got the other switch there with some double-sided tape. Also, as the wires are coming into the Keezer, I use some of that putty, the putty that's you usually have for, oh, maybe I have it right here actually. Let me see if I could find it. Ah, here we go. So here is the putty that I use, the stick E-Tack. It's nothing really, nothing special, but just kind of use that stuff to create a good enough air seal so that there's no air leaks. Around the edges here, I've put first I put some aluminum tape on top, and then I put some of the foam insulation around the edges. And the reason for that is because, unfortunately, the lumber is not cut exactly straight, so there was a little bit of a gap, especially on these side pieces, so you can kind of feel it here. But this will compensate for it. I've also put a piece of wood here so that it can re-engage the original light switch. But, you know, it seems to be shaping up quite well. And this thing is massive, guys, really massive. I have a couple growlers in there filled with some home cider, some non-carbonated home cider for the people who will want to drink it straight, maple brown, and then some damp rid, which I've had this running before. This stuff really works well. I think it's just calcium chloride sitting inside a cup. So if you have any kind of moisture issues, you get a couple of those, it'll solve your problem with no worries at all. So after I'm done inside here with the way that it's wired, as soon as this brings down, the light should go off, and now the fan should turn back on, and that's exactly what we want it to do. So I hope this video has been entertaining for you and informative. I still got a couple more things to do. I am going to leave this, the natural wood, just going to go and polyurethane it here in the next couple days. Supposed to be getting some good weather. Again, the stainless steel drip trays is what I plan on putting here. I'll probably just do 8 taps for the first setup here, and then eventually I'll expand it out to another 8. And then I have a couple other nice little add-ons like bottle cap opener, things like that. I still have to figure out what I need to do in order to get my CO2 and nitro tanks mounted onto the back here. I figured I'm going to have to make a bracket of some sort that can handle the weight, but don't put too much stress on this because it is only caulked on there, where I can put my nitro tank and my CO2 tank on the side. They're a 5-pounder and then a 20 cubic foot nitro tank here on the side, where I can connect everything up and run it through the collar here. If there's any questions about this setup, I will be updating my homebrew forum thread. The link is in my description below. And thank you so much for watching. Cheers.